just one more quick thing on Wilfried Nancy, because
Nancy.
he's taken over. Nancy, sorry. He took over at Celtic. And for Martin O'Neill, who won 7 out of 8 in the interim basis when Brendan Rodgers reportedly resigned, or did resign, excuse me, but did it unexpectedly. And now he came in almost the biggest part of the season, Tones. And he lost the first one to Hearts, who are leading the Scottish Premiership right now. And then they lose to Roma at home, which, listen, Roma's cooking. I'm not surprised that happened. But then they lost to St. Mirren in one of the cups in Scotland this past weekend. He's the first Celtic manager to lose his first 3 games in charge. And they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw that somewhere. He's getting absolutely hammered by everybody. And I don't know what happens now. Obviously, Celtic have to stick with him, but this is a club that's kind of similar.
Think about Ruben Amorim. That's all I'm going to say. He was hammered by everyone. The club just has to come out and say, we're standing by our manager, which is what Manchester United did. Now, I expect the same thing for Celtic.
Yeah, that's fair. Ruben Amorim, honestly, he kind of lost. I tried to stick with that guy, but I'm slowly stepping away from from him.
Well, you stuck with him when things were going poorly. Now things are actually looking like he wants him to look, and you're out.
Honestly,
you're gone.
I'm out, but it's just the 4-4 game kind of threw me
You got one
off.
foot out. You got one foot out.
I'm closer to being. I don't know how.
Jimmy contradiction, Conrad.
Okay, all right, you're a walking contradiction.
Tony, why are you laughing, Tones?
Someone just told me a joke over here. I don't know.
Oh my God. Jimmy contradiction. All right.
No. We don't need to get into Man United.
No, listen. Celtic. It's not the end of the world. They're still within striking distance. They're 2 matches behind. They have 2 matches in hand against Hearts, who's at the top of the table. They're at 32 points. Hearts is at 38. Now, given that, they play at Dundee, so 3rd from the bottom. Then they play Aberdeen, which is a big one, but they're 6th place. And then they got at Livingston, who's bottom of the table. And then they got at Motherwell, who's 4th. So that's all a build-up until the match that matters most if you manage Celtic, and that's Rangers. So he's got 4 matches in preparation for that.
He's got to win all
game.
4 of those, to be honest. I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
And he should.
He should.
This is the issue. So you bring Martin O'Neill to come back, kind of be this, let's get the foundation back, but it's more tape. We knew it was not a long-term solution. Just come back. Everyone thinks highly of Martin O'Neill for what he did with Celtic in the past. He comes in and all of a sudden changes the momentum, gets them back going in the right direction. There's this faith, again, back in the club. It's been restored. But everyone knew they were going to hire a new manager. Now, the direction Celtic, the board went is probably different from what the supporters potentially thought. So they go and they get Wilfried Nancy. And I think we all think Wilfried Nancy is a great coach.
Right.
But it's a different beast when you're talking about Celtic. It's a massive club with incredible history, with demands to win now. This is not preseason. Even though Wilfried Nancy has to learn a lot about the players and what they can do and what they're capable of. But we saw with Ruben Amorim, if you're stuck to a system that you think is best for you because you know the ins and outs of it, sometimes maybe the players that you're going into it with, trying to transition with, are not going to pick up the ideas all that well, and maybe don't have the quality in some positions that you need them to have the quality. And I think that's where he's trying to come in and say, oh my God, maybe they're not even as good as Columbus Crew, this Celtic team. And how can I play a system if some players just can't pick it up? It's going to take time regardless. And so, Jimmy, this is the coaching hat. Is there a middle ground? Do you just stick with what Martin O'Neill did, even though you don't believe it?
Yeah, I think that's what you had to do. This is an interesting time for the club to hand it over to somebody new. So let's leave Wilfried Nancy out of it. Saying these are arguably our 3 biggest games of the season, Tones. And Martin O'Neill has steadied the ship. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. They won 7 out of 8. Everything seemed to be good. And then now we're going to hand it over against Hearts.
Well, he addressed that, Wilfried Nancy.
But then now he switched to a back 3, back to his system. I agree. I ultimately agree with you, Chuck, or at least the question of it. He should have just stuck with what was working at that time and then slowly morphed his philosophy in there. However, if you're assigned to me, I want to play the way that I want to play. And so there becomes that, where's the middle ground ultimately? Sorry.
I would have loved if they said, okay, this is the guy we're hiring. I want you to come, but Martin O'Neill is still going to keep steadying this ship and moving it forward. But learn as much as you can about these players.
Right.
Even maybe you take over a training session here or there and see how they interact, get to know the guys, build that relationship before you take over. I don't know if that was even on the table, if that was on the cards, and if it wasn't in the cards, then man, you really set up Wilfried Nancy to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was the idea, like to set him up to fail. I do question just what you guys are talking about, the fact that he came in at the time that he did. He addressed it a couple of days back where he said, I had the chance to come in after this stretch of 3 games. So the St. Mirren Cup final would have been, coming in after that. And he said they chose not to do that. They chose to come in at the time that he did. So he understood. With regards to the formation, look, I think we've all had a chance probably to talk to Wilfried Nancy over the last couple of years at some point, right?
Yeah.
I was lucky to cover a lot of their games. I like what he stands for, how he gets his message out. I have to imagine that he thought that he could play with 3 in the back with the players that he had, right, in this group, and is probably quickly finding out, no, it's not it. So do you run with it? I mean, we always put your coaching hat on, right? Do you run with it right now? Do you change now and kind of admit like, hey, that was a mistake the last 10 days, right? That's a mistake I made? Or do you say, you know what? I still think what I thought when I got here, I just got to get the right guys here. It's a tricky thing for a manager when you don't win games. When you win, we all know, like, you could have a few heartaches. People can complain about your formation. I don't like 3 in the back. But let's face it, man. The Roma match you mentioned, Jimmy, they're so outmatched in that game. But if you get defensive performances like you did against that individual mistakes, it doesn't matter what you coach every day. Like I go, okay, guy heads the ball in his own net somehow from that position, right? It's not what you coach, but it's a bad break. Guy gets spun twice. He loses his man. None of those things any coach in the world would ever teach you.
Yeah.
No one has ever said, hey, let the forward just spin you like a top in the box. No coach ever said that. So you could have any formation in the world, right? Yeah. Anything you want, but if you don't get those things right and your players don't get them right, you could be the best coach in the world and never going to win.